Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how I created this collagraph using 3 different plates, and I'm also going to show you my creative process. Hope you enjoy the video. This collagraph design has been inspired by an image I have captured of 2 trees. And what actually inspired me was just the shapes that these 2 trees created. And what I wanted to achieve is a more of an abstract collagraph that would reflect the shapes rather than just what was in front of me. So I decided to focus on the actual shapes in between the trees rather than the trees themselves. And using a package called Procreate on my iPad, I just drew out these shapes and focused on colours and forms. And what I could have done this collagraph using just 1 plate, but what I was after, I wanted to get the clean shapes and I wanted to get the clean colours. So I sort of divided the colours into 3 main colours, and that's green, which I achieved by mixing Indian yellow with sepia and by using Prussian blue mixed with zinc white, and by using sepia on its own. So the very first plate I used was this plate, which reflects all my green tones in the plate. And I've printed that first. And then I've printed a second plate which focused on the darker tones on my plate and the blues between the trees. And the very last plate is representing all the darkest tones, which is the actual trees, all the sepia and all these beautiful lines here. That was my very last plate that I've printed. So I'm going to show you now how I created the plate and how I printed it. So here's my setup. I've got my needle and I've got my printed out design on a see-through paper with a carbonated paper underneath, and I'm basically just drawing my needle on top of my design, which then transfers onto the plate, as you can see. So that was a plate number 3. The plate number 3 is done, and now I'm moving on to plate number 2. So here I will be drawing out the blue areas of the plate. So this is the sky in between the trees. And as you can see, I'm just selecting those shapes here, which I'm going to cut out, and they're all going to be then inked up with blue. And as you can see here, I'm going to reveal. There you go. And here is after I've drawn out some more shapes, just to give you an idea of the areas that I'm going to do. And here is plate number 3 and plate number 2 done. And finally here I'm starting to cut out my shapes ready for inking up. So here I have peeled off quite a bit, and it's basically for all of my green regions on the design. But also on my design, apart from sort of darker greens, I've got some lighter green areas. So this is why I'm going to draw on my plate once more using my design. I'm now going to mark out the slightly lighter green areas. And the reason why I'm going to do that, so when I ink up with the dark green, these lighter areas are going to wipe ink a bit more, so they're going to appear a different lighter shade of green. And the way I'm going to achieve that is by cutting them out, scoring them out even more, and filling them in with matte acrylic medium. So they won't be trapping as much ink as the peeled off areas, but they will trap more ink than completely smooth areas that I haven't treated anything with. So as you can see here, I'm just marking out those lighter green areas at the moment, ready for me to fill them with some acrylic matte medium. And here we go, all my lighter green bits have now been scored even deeper into the card, and I've got some matte acrylic medium here, and what I'm going to do, just with a paintbrush, I'm going to fill them up. And now I've got all my plates ready, so it's time to varnish them with shellac to seal them up so they become a bit more durable. So I've got all my 3 plates ready, and they are shellacked and basically ready to be inked up. And I've lined them up here according to when they will be printed. So I'll be using Prussian blue mixed up with zinc white for the blue bits in the sky in between tree branches. And for the green, I'm going to be mixing sepia with Indian yellow, and that should give me a nice green. So here's my paper, 300 GSM Snowden being soaked, and here is my press, and I've got newsprint at the bottom, and this is the size of the actual paper, my Snowden paper, and this is I traced out the size of my plates, which is 3 of them. I've marked 3 up just to remind myself where's up and down on the plate, as I will be rolling the plate through several times and I might forget. So here I'm inking up the first plate, and here is my second plate being inked up with 2 different colours, but they're quite far away from each other, so they shouldn't really mix. And here is my final plate ink up, which is just sepia, and just wiping the ink off. And here goes my first plate. I'm just placing it on the press table, and here goes the wet paper and some newsprint on top, and now I'm just going to roll it through, tightening up the press a bit. And here is the first part of the print from the first plate, and I'm not taking the paper out, I'm just going to keep it where it was as a reference point, and I'm just placing my second plate in exactly the same spot and rolling it through again. And here we go. There's the second plate coming out and just quickly being replaced by a final third plate